Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech. Today, we are diving headfirst into a high-stakes drama that's playing out at the very heart of the global economy. And look, this isn't just about faster computers. This is a story of incredible ambition, spectacular failure, and maybe, just maybe, an astonishing comeback. It connects the AI revolution, some seriously bitter corporate rivalries, and a geopolitical chess match between superpowers. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, we have a lot to cover. We're going to start with the sheer mind-boggling scale of this AI gold rush. Then we'll zoom in on Intel's absolutely desperate gamble to get back in the game. From there, we'll look at some of the shocking alliances being formed, how this has ignited a global chip war, and finally, we'll take a peek over the horizon at the next big tech frontiers that are already taking shape. So first up, the AI gold rush. To really understand the drama here, you have to understand the prize they're all fighting for. We're in the middle of a tidal wave of investment so massive, it's completely redrawing the entire tech landscape. To get your head around the scale of this, just look at this number. Analysts, and this includes the CEO of Alibaba, are projecting that the market for AI compute, the actual hardware that powers AI, is going to be worth $4 trillion by 2030. That's not just a big number, that is an industry-defining, world-changing pile of money that absolutely everyone wants a piece of. Right now, Nvidia is the king of the castle, no question. They dominate the AI chip market. But the thing is, the pie is getting bigger so fast that, like one analyst put it, it's not a zero-sum game. There is plenty of room for a lot of companies to grab a slice. You see companies like AMD and Broadcom making big moves, but the real story is about who can solve the single biggest bottleneck in this entire revolution. And that brings us to our second section, Intel's high-stakes gamble. For decades, Intel was the undisputed champion of silicon. They were an American icon. But then the AI boom just exploded, and they kind of found themselves on the outside looking in, trying to stage this monumental comeback. So how did the giant fall? Well, it all came down to one critical strategic mistake. In the world of chip manufacturing, the recipe is everything. Intel went down one path, and a company you've probably heard of, Taiwan's TSMC, went down another. As one source put it, pretty bluntly, TSMC was right, Intel was wrong. That single decision, that one wrong turn, allowed TSMC to just leapfrog Intel and become the world's go-to factory for advanced chips. And the consequences? Oh, they were brutal. The most painful and very public breakup was with one of their most important customers, Apple. After a 15-year partnership, Apple basically said Intel's technology was no longer satisfactory enough. Ouch. So they started designing their own silicon, which was manufactured by, you guessed it, TSMC. It was a massive vote of no confidence. And that brings us to Section 3, old rivals, new alliances. Faced with this crisis, Intel knew it had to do something audacious, something completely unexpected. They're now playing a high-stakes poker game, and their strategy is turning heads all across the industry. Intel's entire strategy right now hinges on this one single audacious question. Can a company that was unceremoniously dumped turn around and ask its ex-partner for help? Can it convince its fiercest competitors to bet on its success? Incredibly, that's exactly what Intel is trying to do. And get this is the bombshell. According to reports from Bloomberg, Intel has gone back to Apple, the very company that left them, and asked them to invest. They're not just looking for customers anymore. They're looking for partners to help fund their multi-billion-dollar comeback plan. Now, you're probably thinking, why on earth would Apple even consider this? Well, for Intel, it's obvious. They need cash, and just as important, they need guaranteed customers for the super expensive new factories they want to build. But for Apple, it's all about strategy. They hate, and I mean hate, relying on a single supplier. Diversifying away from TSMC and Taiwan is a huge geopolitical priority. Plus, investing in a US-based Intel helps them fulfill their pledges to invest hundreds of billions in America. And before you dismiss this as totally impossible, remember, as one source pointed out, funny things happen in technology. I mean, back in 1997, when Apple was at its lowest point, who invested $150 million to help save them? Their arch rival, Microsoft. In tech, today's enemy can literally be tomorrow's lifeline. So this isn't just a business story anymore. Intel's comeback attempt has escalated way beyond the boardroom, all the way to the highest levels of government. And that brings us to Section 4, the global chip war. What you're looking at here is a totally unprecedented move by the US government. Through the CHIPS Act, the government hasn't just given Intel a subsidy. It has taken a 10% ownership stake. The American taxpayer is now a part owner of Intel. That's how critical this has become to national security. It's all part of a national strategy they're calling onshoring. The goal is simple: bring advanced chip manufacturing back to the U.S. to reduce the massive geopolitical risk of having the world's supply concentrated in Taiwan. Intel is now the cornerstone of this whole plan, and the government is using all its influence to encourage key players like Apple and even Nvidia to get on board. But here's the thing. Even as this multi-trillion-dollar battle for AI supremacy is raging, the next wave of disruption is already forming. And that brings us to our final section, the revolutions already brewing on the next frontiers. First up, the race for autonomous transport. This is a potential $330 billion market, and we're seeing two totally different strategies play out. In the US, you've got Google's Waymo, which has the lead in operations. But in China, companies like Baidu and Pony.ai have a huge cost advantage. Their cars cost around 30 grand, and they are expanding aggressively all over the globe, especially in Europe and the Middle East. Next, there's quantum computing. Now I know, for decades, this has felt like pure science fiction, but it's actually becoming a commercial reality. We're talking financial giants like HSBC already using IBM's quantum processors to solve unbelievably complex problems, calculations that are literally impossible for even the fastest supercomputers today. The implications for everything from drug discovery to finance are just profound. And finally, there's a field you're going to be hearing a lot more about: physical AI. This is where the digital intelligence of AI meets the physical world. Companies are creating these tiny, smart sensors that you can attach to things like utility poles or water mains. One company, Byte-AI, is using them to predict leaks in pipelines, and they could potentially save 6 billion gallons of treated water every single day. And this all leads to the final critical question, right? While everyone is laser-focused on the AI chip war, these other revolutions, robotaxis, quantum computing, physical AI, they're all quietly gaining momentum. The battle for today's market is fierce, sure, but the race to define tomorrow's is just getting started. Which of these will spawn the next trillion-dollar company? That is the question on every single investor's mind. If you enjoyed this deep dive, do us a favor and hit that like button. Leave a comment, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.